It was up, Vengeance. Sorry, Mysterious back out another video. Um, this one is kind of dark or a bit deep, but it's called. I basically died at 14 years old, and since then I've just been like this empty corpse, just going about life. Technically, I'm physically alive, but what's inside of me just felt like it was dead. So yeah, I've talked a bit about this type of stuff before. I talked about how I had a different uh, I had more life to me before. I had more of like a vibrant, vibe to myself, like aura. Like I used to be happier. Like my life kind of went downhill at a young age and all this shit. But the reason why I say I feel like I died is because part of it is because of the 2020 effect that I talked about before, where it's like, oh yeah, after 2020, everything was never the same. Like shit changed, life got worse and everything, and there's this weird feeling in the world. But another thing is like, I didn't really get what I wanted. Like I had a kind of shittier like teenagehood. I was very lonely. I was extremely lonely. Like when I was 15, that was probably the most lonely I felt in some ways. Like it was one of the worst years. 2019 was one of the worst years. It was one of the most painful. It was just very brutal and just kind of like low and just sad and all this stuff. And then afterwards, that feeling, that aura, like that vibe just never left me. Really, I was able to kind of get away from that feeling through like, I don't know, just going to the gym or playing video games and watching films, but that whole vibe just never fully left me. Do you know what I mean? So one thing I haven't even said before is that when I was 14, I was actually thinking of like suicide and all this shit, and like thinking, oh, what if I just killed myself? And like, imagine my funeral, imagine like if I made a video or like what I would leave behind. Like, I wanted to leave a video about like why I killed myself and give all the reasons and just like explain everything and just almost leave like a suicide note, but just a video, like some video as if I'm like making it right now almost. But I just imagined the whole thing. I was thinking like, yeah, like life would just be such a good. It'd be just so good to end my life like right now, like 14, 15 years old, and like what's crazy is like if I was to die at that age, if I was to die at such a young age, I wouldn't have to experience all this other like depressing, traumatic shit that I had to experience the years later. Like all the bad stuff in my life, I wouldn't have had to experience. I wouldn't have had to go through. I wouldn't have had all these like bad things, and yeah, like it would just be my life from when I was born up until I'm like 14, 15 years old, and then I'm just dead. So I wouldn't have to go through the whole like 2020 bullshit. I wouldn't have to look for a job, none of that stuff. I would just like end it quite swiftly, like before all this crazy shit happened that's going on in the world. And yeah, like that's just an insane thing to think about, because I almost feel like if I was to die before 2020, it's like I get off easy. It's like I was able to get off easy, or like if I imagine that scenario happening, it's like, oh, I would have got off easy. I would have like made it. I would have like just ended it before things got really bad. Before like the world changed and the whole COVID thing and everything. Like right before all that fuckery happened, I would have just been out of there, gone, and like it wouldn't affect me. Um, I wouldn't have to. I literally would not have to live through that. That's what I was. That's what I've been thinking. And yeah, even though I'm physically alive and I have been for years, after the fact, I'm still here doing things. It feels like deep down I am dead. Like who I was before, the child I was before just died, and like now I'm just this dark, depressing, withered guy, and I feel similar a bit like kind of like Johnny Cash in the music video Hurt, where he just looks like this kind of depressed, withered, like older guy who just like, you know, been through it all, like been through a lot of pain, all that stuff, and just that whole aesthetic. And also another comparison I like to make is like in Batman v Superman, BVS, Batman v Superman. I know a lot of people don't like the film, but I don't really care. I think it's an underrated film. But anyway, in that film, like Bruce Wayne also has a similar vibe. Like Bruce Wayne Batman, he has a similar kind of like depressed, grungy, like um, traumatized kind of vibe. Like as if he's just been through some crazy shit and just like is kind of traumatized, like pissed off, angry. And even Alfred says that he says like was it? It's something about like how did well, I forgot what he said. But he said something about like the rage, something about like rage and anger that turns men cruel. It's like the fever, the rage, the anger, like the feeling of powerlessness that turns the good men cruel. And that's what it was with him. Is that the feeling of powerlessness, the feeling of like he just lost everything. He can't control his life or the things that happened to him. That just made him this different level of cruel and brutal and just like snapping people's arms in a fight, like just a brutal like fighter in terms of his crime fighting and all this shit. Because it's hinted in the film that Robin's dead, that Robin has been killed by the Joker. Because you do see the suit in Bruce Wayne's cabinet, his glass cabinet. It shows Robin's suit and it says, "Ha ha, joke's on you, Batman." To him, that Robin has been killed by the Joker, and that's like where a lot of Batman's pain has come from, and that like, just traumatized vibe, because Robin is a bit like his son to him in a lot of ways. It's like his Robin dying is a bit like his son dying, and having a child die, like whether it's a son or daughter, is like one of the worst things someone can think of. And I remember there's one quote where it's like, not from the film, just this quote I remember that if a like husband if a no if a wife loses her husband, she's called a widow. If like a child loses his parents, it's called like an orphan or something. Or but like if like a father like or a parent loses their child, there's no like word for that because it's like so brutal for the parent that they can't even like I can't even fathom it. There's no like word for it. There's no like word the way you have like or term for having like lost a child. Do you know what I mean? But there is if you've like lost a like a wife, or if you're a wife that lost a husband, or if you've lost a parent. But there's no term for like, oh, you've lost your child, like your child's passed away. So that's like basically one of the worst pains you can imagine he's had to go through in the film, and he's just like dealing with that the whole film, the whole time of the film. He's got that in the back of his head, just kind of pissed off. But yeah, I've been going on about that for a minute. So to get back to what I was saying is like, that's just kind of like something I find relatable. Just that real like pain that you have, that like when something really bad has happened to you, it's not something that just heals overnight. It's not something that you just get over overnight. It can last a year, it can last years, it can just like not go away for years and years at a time. Like if you had something really traumatic and bad happen to you, it doesn't just go away very easily. It can literally last years, like over half a decade, over a decade. Like some crazy traumatic bad shit can like just stick with you and never go away, pretty much forever. That's the thing. That's what I'm trying to say. And like that's kind of how it feels like my life was in a lot of ways. And it kind of felt like a lot of the joy from my teenage years like had just been robbed from me. A lot of the fun I could have had and good memories I could have made and all that like were just really robbed from me. And like 2019, for instance, that felt like that could have been the best year of my life. That had the potential to literally be the best year ever, the best year of my entire life, like ever. Like really good. Like summer. It was a sunny summer. It was like a bright kind of year. Like it wasn't like a one of the years like in the 2020s. It wasn't like a dark miserable year in terms of the aesthetic of the year. It was a pretty bright sunny year, and other than the problems I had to face, it felt pretty good. It felt like it was a pretty good life. It felt pretty fun. Um, if I don't think about all the bad things that happened that year, it seemed like a pretty good year. But a lot of bad things did happen. I didn't get to enjoy my life really the way I wanted it to be, and like things weren't like things didn't really go my way, and I kind of already explained it in our previous videos, so I don't want to talk about it too much because it's a bit personal. But yeah, like that could have literally been the best year ever. I could have played video games. I could have had friends. I could have like gone out with people and that like had actual social life and all this. Have an actual friend group. But I was just completely alone. Just watched TV, like not watched TV, but like watched films. Did Thai boxing. Went to school. That's it. I didn't even have a console, which I regret selling. Just all that stuff. And I really learned the hard way what matters in life and what doesn't. Like the things that you think don't matter, that do matter, you find out that they do. And you find out the hard way. And the things that don't matter, you find out the hard way that they don't matter as well, because you put things that don't matter on a pedestal and you think they're important to your life, and then over time you realize they had no effect on your life or didn't do much to make your life better. So the things that you're wasting your time trying to control, they just ended up being pretty useless, and like they didn't have much of a benefit to your life at all. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so with that, yeah, what I'm trying to say is like the life. This video in a nutshell is supposed to explain like the life inside of me, the brightness, the glow I had, when I was younger. It went away. It kind of just disappeared and went away, and I lost that I just lost that childhood, childish kind of glow, that like optimism, that feeling that things will work out for the better, that all that shit. And I kind of sometimes think it would have been better if I just passed away like really young and just didn't have to experience any of this, because a lot of my life right now just feels unnecessary. It feels like it's just an unnecessary thing I have to experience and go through and just like put up with. It's just, why do I have to do this? What's the point in it? I'm not getting much out of it. And even if I was to become rich or whatever people care about, would it really benefit my life? Because I don't think there's much that could make my life truly worth living. In the way that a lot of people think, or want their life to be. But looking back, like I've said before that up until that age, I felt like I had this infinite luck that like even when things went bad, even when things kind of went south, like went bad, didn't go my way, eventually they would work themselves out. Eventually things would work themselves out. And I felt like I had like this luck factor. I felt like I had this actual luck where like it didn't matter how bad things were, because eventually they literally would just like go back to normal or figure themselves out or whatever, and like I would just have things go my way eventually. But after 14, 15, things that weren't going my way, they literally like did not go my way, and they never went back to normal. They never like turned out for the better. They just stayed bad. Like for the first time in my life, things just went bad and stayed bad for a long fucking time. And it was crazy, bro. It was actually crazy. But I think about this stuff kind of often, but I was inspired by Jack Franzen's video, one of Jack Franzen's videos about like a similar type of topic, but his was more about just like life and work and like, how life was more fun as a kid. But mine is more about just like, this video is more just about pain and just like losing that glow, losing that optimism, losing that childish type of glow and all that. And some people, they say, oh, you shouldn't hold on to that, childhood. You shouldn't hold on to that bright optimism, that Disney fairy tale fantasy. You should like just crush that part of you and think that's never going to come back, and be like, accept within yourself it's never going to come back. But the thing is, it's not just about, oh, that's never coming back. It's something else. It's the fact that, like, if I did have a good life, it doesn't matter if my life became bad because at least I have something good to reflect on. But if your life is just bad, 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 like you get nothing, nothing, nothing out of this life, there's nothing good to reflect on. There's no good memories. It's just literally pain. It's literally just pain for like years of your life with no reward. So there is no real good memories, or if there are, they're kind of short lived. In the grand scheme of things, when you look at how long your life is, people like me, we've had relatively few amount of years that were genuinely enjoyable and good and all this stuff, and that's the crazy part. But also, because of the 2020 effect, even if my life was to be good right now, even if it was to go perfect or be good right now, there's something about it that like I couldn't put my finger on. I couldn't like pinpoint and explain um why it's so bad, because it's not even like something logical. This the whole 2020 effect. It's not something I can logically like explain. Like, oh yeah, this part of my life is bad. That part of my life is bad, and just like lay it out and pinpoint. I can't really say that. It's just like um, it's just overall it has this weird aesthetic and weird like vibe and just look. It's like someone. It's like you're watching a film that looks bright and like sunny, and then like someone just puts a dark filter over it, and it just looks all grey and depressing, and like you can't really pinpoint what's bad about it. But it's just like this aesthetic, It's just like this feel and look. And I think another reason why it's so bad is because time is speeding up, and the whole time is speeding up thing is true. And I think someone mentioned, I think I saw on a video on social media that like 1 minute is not like 45 seconds. So a minute is now like 15 seconds shorter, and that's why like time feels a lot faster, because time has literally sped up and become faster, and it's ridiculous. Like it is a real thing. Like it's not just you imagining it. It's everywhere. It's all around the world. Time has just been going past like fucking crazy. It's insane, and that's one of the worst things about it. About the 2020 effect, as I call it. But the what was it? The before the 2020 effect, back when I was like a child, a teenager, I never had these random jumps of time. Like if I was 8 years old and 4 years go past, I'm 12. It's like, yeah, those were 4 long years, and I'm still young, so I still have time to figure things out. I still have time to make a difference. I still have time to do shit. It's not just like, oh, I felt like it's not like, oh, 6 years just went past in like fucking 3.5 years, and time has just jumped pretty quickly. There was no like weird time jump like that. Time was going at a normal pace, so I could figure things out, think properly, have enough time to think things out and plan things and everything. But now I barely have any time to do all of that because time is just going past crazy quick. The days go past so quick. It feels like if I'm to drink a coffee, the moment I pick up and put it back down, it's like 3 hours have fucking gone past. It's crazy. This effect is it just this alone is just picking me off life. Like this whole thing is just picking me off life, making me not want to continue, making me not want to live. Just all that shit, all the bad shit, and all the annoying people I have to deal with along the way. It's like there's always something bad, there's always something annoying, and then you have all these bad things just piling up. Like when you add all the negative, bad things together, it just creates this massive pile of just disappointments and annoying little things in your life that makes you just want to fucking quit, you know. And that's how it is. That's really how it is for a lot of people out there. Like the life is already incredibly bad. It just gets worse and worse and worse. And it doesn't need to be that way. It doesn't need to be so bad. It really doesn't need to be that bad or get worse. It should just be like, like what one bad event is enough. We don't need all this bullshit going on. That's the thing. People are so rude and so mean and not nice. Like people are not grateful for each other. Humans are not grateful enough for having each other, for having other fellow humans around them, for having, you know, communities, for having, you know, to be around their own species. You know what I mean, they're not grateful enough for their own species. They just disregard and like um they just disregard their own fucking species so easily, so quickly, and they disrespect them and all this. You know, if aliens came down and saw that, they would just think like, yeah, like these humans are so like divided and uh just so pathetic, and they would just look down upon us. I feel like that's how I feel. Like so many humans are so disappointing and just like so terrible, it doesn't make sense. Like they're actively just choosing to be bad. So many people are just choosing to be bad, choosing the wrong path, choosing to be the wrong people, choosing just making all the bad decisions in their life. They're getting given like literally everything, anything you could ask for, everything you could ask for. You know, the women in this generation are ultra privileged. They're extremely privileged, and they're just like fucking about with that privilege and just throwing it away like it's nothing. Like they could literally be something in their life, have a good life, and with all the potential they have, they just throw it away and choose the most cheapest, low level, junkie sort of life, low class, alcoholic on drugs, turned into a whore. You know, that's the sad thing about a lot of women that I never understand, and I had too much sympathy for so many people. The thing is, a lot of people, they used to think I was a crazy guy, you know, psychopath, like serial killer vibe. I've had that type of shit said about me, all this bullshit. Oh, you're like a serial killer, like you give off psychopath vibes. I've heard all this just ridiculous bullshit, like loads of times, but I'd actually say I'm very empathetic. I'd actually say I'm a lot more empathetic than most people. I really am, like, quite empathetic in a way that people don't understand. Like, I do feel empathy quite strongly. I do feel bad for a lot of people, and I've caught myself just feeling bad for, like, you know, random people who like don't even deserve my empathy or sympathy or whatever it is. Like just random people. I put myself in other people's positions mentally and think, oh, what's this person going through? What's going on in this person's life? And I really think about like the scenarios that someone else is in. But most people don't even do that in general. They just kind of disregard other humans. They walk past people in the street. They don't care what happens to them. They just completely neglect, you know, their own people, you know, their own species, their own fellow humans. They just completely think fuck them. Don't care if they die. Could care less if like they get some traumatic brain injury or like die the next day or whatever. Like they don't care if this person, if someone is like brutally, you know, I don't know, depressed and like just going through some shit and whatever. Like everyone's just out for themselves. No one cares about each other. People could care if you less if you die, and people are just really brutal in this world. They're just really brutal and they're really like cutthroat and terrible. And like when I see all this like disappointing shit going on, it's like it makes me feel like why should I care if um like, this might seem kind of dark, but like let's say I watch the news and I see people die. I see people are dying on the news. It might make me think, well, why should I care that they die? Those people would probably like not give a fuck about me. If the rules were reversed, if I was in like some car crash or if I died, those people probably wouldn't care about me. So why should I care about these other people dying? You know, that's how I would start to think if I knew like everyone is just like against me or like everyone's just like low empathy, like scumbag human being, then I would start to think why should I care about them or why should I care about other people if I'm just completely like disregarded as a human and just being like left for dead, you know, and all that. Like why should I even like view them as a human being if they're not gonna do the same? And also, on top of that, what was I trying to say? Like, yeah, I basically just I gave my 2 cents right there. Like, I didn't want to ever be like some crazy like psychopathic guy, but it's just other people have been like that to me. That's the only reason why I would be the same way, is because it's really simple. Like, people show no empathy to me, I show no empathy to them. It's really, really that simple. Really that simple. And I've really seen just people act like animalistic, act like cavemen, like just show the most primal, disgusting parts of themselves, and just show no class about themselves, just doing whatever they feel and want in the moment, and having disregard for the humans. And yeah, it's just like it's like mice fighting over cheese. That's how a lot of people I see them. It's like seeing mice kill each other over a piece of cheese. That's how a lot of people are in this world. And oh yeah, another thing I was gonna say is that um, I often think, like, from an outside perspective, like I imagine these other fictional characters like Brainiac, for instance. Brainiac from Superman or Justice League from DC Comics, because Brainiac is mainly like a Superman villain. But anyway, when he comes and he visits these planets, he goes to Earth. He views Earth from a third person perspective. He views it from his perspective. He's not a human. He's an alien, and he just views these humans as like just cattle, just sheep, just ants. Like, they're just nothing to him. He'll shrink that planet. He'll put it in a glass jar, and he'll just keep it in his collection. Like, he does not view these humans as like anything special. And sometimes you think, why should I view other people as like significant? Why should I not just view them as like also just like these little ants that are like insignificant? Same kind of the same with Thanos, kind of same with Darkseid. When he comes to Earth, he's just a conqueror. He doesn't view humanity or human beings as like significant or special. He just views them as like, oh well, they're just other people. People themselves want to view themselves as important, as special, as high status. But from the outside looking in, from a being like Darkseid or Thanos or Brainiac or any of these aliens that come to Earth, any of these outsiders, they just view these humans as like specks of dust. In a lot of ways, even Thanos, he does give humans a chance. He does like kind of he's not completely evil. He's not as bad. He's not as bad as like Darkseid in a sense, but Thanos kind of views them as like, well, yeah, these people, they can live their life. They have the right to live and everything. But like, if they need to die in order for the other half to like thrive or live or have a good life, then that's what needs to happen. If they need to die, they need to die. If they don't, they don't. Like, if you need to cut half the population to preserve life, then that's the way it is. He is still a crazy murderer, but like, he still has some empathy, has some like rationale to his what he does and his reasoning. But more with like someone like Brainiac, he probably views himself as above all of humans. Like Brainiac, he probably does actually think he's better than all the humans, thinks he's like above them, kind of narcissistic, and is just super smart, just incredibly smart. As the name suggests, Brainiac is can imagine him being incredibly smart, and just views humans as just, yeah, like another bits of dust on this planet. Just yeah, there's one planet out of thousands of planets he's already conquered, he's already captured. Why would this one matter so much? And yeah, that's just what I've been thinking of. Like, what if I put humans and reality into this crazy perspective? This crazy like perspective. But yeah, I don't want to drag this video on too long because it's already almost like half an hour. So I think I got to say most of what I wanted to. Look forward to my next videos. Hope you enjoyed this one, and that's mostly what I got to say. Mysterious out.